My name is Danica. I run The Lesbury, which is a bi and lesbian book blog, and today I want to talk to you about some great wintry seasonal sapphic reads. So some of these are Christmas. I've got a couple of Hanukkah ones. I wasn't able to find any other wintry holiday ones, but if you know of any, let me know in the comments. But I also have ones that are just general wintry reads that would be perfect to curl up with under a blanket. This video is sponsored by a Kobo exclusive mystery, Murder Most Actual by Alexis, which is a sapphic mystery, and more on that at the end of the video. I'm starting with some fantasy books that take place in a winter setting. The first is The Winter Duke by Eliza Bartlett. So this book is set where there are basically two kingdoms. There's an underwater kingdom with mermaids, and then there's a winter kingdom on top of the frozen lake. It's a political fantasy. It's about one of the Duke's daughters who is the only one who has survived a curse, and she is taking on the title of Duke. So she is trying to prevent war. She's trying to keep the kingdom together. This is supposed to be part Sleeping Beauty, part Anastasia, but it's that winter world, that permanent winter setting, and of course the title that earns it a spot on this list. And of course it is sapphic, and it has an FF romance. Next up is Robber Girl by S.T. Gibson. You can tell just from the cover that this is a wintry fantasy book. It's kind of a Swedish fairy tale retelling. There's the Snow Queen element to it. The main character is a thief who accidentally robs a witch and ends up teaming up with her to try to go kill the Snow Queen and save the witch's brother. This is one of a few fairy tale retellings on this list, so if you want a YA fantasy retelling of the Snow Queen with an FF romance, this will be one for you. And I actually have another sapphic Snow Queen retelling on this list, and that's The Raven and the Reindeer by T. Kingfisher. So this is the Snow Queen story. It's about Greta, who is trying to rescue her childhood friend Kay from the Snow Queen, but along the way she meets a bandit princess and teams up with her. There's also a talking raven and flying otters, so obviously you have to pick this one up. The last one in the fantasy category on this list is Thorn by Anna Burke. So this is another fairy tale retelling, but this time it is Beauty and the Beast. This is also the same author of the Compass Rose series, so if you like sapphic pirates as well, and why wouldn't you? You can check out that series too. So this is set in a world of constant winter, and the beast is the Huntress, who is a literal ice queen and also has a pack of hounds, which I can't resist. It includes an iconic Beauty and the Beast library scene, and I am also promised that there is an ice bear in this. What could be better than sapphic books that also have flying otters and ice bears? My next category is romances, and most of these are Christmas. The first one I have is Snow Falls by Gerri, which I am so excited about. I am waiting until December to read it for perfect Christmas wintry themed reading. So I cannot resist the sort of forced proximity trope, but especially snowed in romances. I love that. I love a snowed in story, and that's what this is. Catherine is excited to spend her whole winter alone in her mountain cabin, but then someone gets lost and seeks refuge with her, and they get snowed in together. Obviously, Jennifer and Catherine end up getting really close, even though Catherine didn't want to see anybody. But then after the 2 months they spend together, Jennifer goes back to her normal life and the man who wants to marry her, and she doesn't actually know Catherine's real name. So it seems like a lot of the story will be more about how they get back to each other, but I'm so excited for the snowed in setting. Another snowed in love story, this is a novella. It's Fearless by Shira Glassman. Shira Glassman is amazing. There's another book by her on this list. So this takes place at an all-state school band competition, and a mom of one of the students who is newly out falls for the butch orchestra teacher. It's also about finding your way back to music after a long time away. This is a short, super cute read. Then there's an anthology, Do You Feel What I Feel? A holiday anthology, edited by Jay and Fletcher Delancey. So this is just what it says on the tin. It's 12 lesbian fiction authors who are writing holiday-themed short stories. Most of these are Christmas romances, but there is at least one Hanukkah story, and they're not all all Christmas and they're not all romances, but that's the general theme. This is also a good way to get a sampling of a bunch of lesfic authors writing, and most of them have other books that you can check out if you like those. If you know me, you know that I love dogs. I'm definitely a dog person. I have 2 dogs and I adore them, so I obviously couldn't resist this FF romance that is both Christmas themed and dog themed. It's called Collie Jolly by Leigh Landry. And I feel like the title and cover alone are enough to sell you on this book, but just in case. So this is Madison, whose girlfriend died a year earlier, and she was left with her girlfriend's puppy. And because of her grief, she wasn't really able to train this puppy the way that she wanted to, and now it is kind of a mess, a little bit of a disaster. So she reaches out to a dog trainer, Ashley. Unbeknownst to her, Ashley has actually 0 experience training dogs, has never even had a dog, but she managed to interview very well apparently because that's her job now. So this is a cute FF romance. It's set in New Orleans, takes place over the holidays, and Collie Jolly, come on. Can't resist that. Then there is Mangoes and Mistletoe by Adriana Herrera. So this is a holiday baking competition FF romance, which just checks so many boxes for me. I'm so excited. It takes place in Scotland. One of them calls herself a baking brujita. There's a bit of a grumpy one, sunshine one dynamic. These are 2 baking partners who are thrown together and have to try to make it work. So this is a cute novella for fans of Great British Bake Off and other baking competition shows. And the last Christmas romance on this list is Being Merry by Meka Jones. So Lennox has been guilt-tripped by her sister into helping out someone who is moving to the city and doesn't have a place to stay yet, so she is staying in her spare room for the moment. What she doesn't know when she agrees to it is that Noelle, yes, Noelle, is absolutely obsessed with Christmas, shows up in a reindeer headband, and is trying to win Lennox over to being one of the extremely festive people like she is. So this has a bit of that forced proximity, but also the dynamic between the Grinch and the very enthusiastically Christmas person. So that sounds like a super fun romance read. And then I have a couple of Hanukkah romance/erotica novels. The first is 8 Kinky Nights by Zan West. So this is about 2 50-year-olds, one a stone butch and one a queer femme, and a series of kink lessons that take place over the 8 nights of Hanukkah. There's also asexual and pansexual representation, as well as fat, autistic, and disabled representation. And finally, I have another Hanukkah erotica story, and that's Eitan's Chord by Shira Glassman again. So this is about 3 fairies and their magical threesome to grant Hanukkah wishes. They're doing this to help out Eitan, who is a trans man, and his cis wife Abigail. They basically need a miracle to make ends meet, and these fairies are here to help. So this is, I don't think even quite a novella, it's a short story. And if you know of any other Sapphic Hanukkah stories, please let me know in the comments. And finally, I have a Sapphic Wintry mystery title for you, Watching Over Her by Ronica Black. So this is another story about 2 women who are strangers who get snowed in together in a cabin. This time it's Riley who's gone to the cabin to try to be by herself and spend the winter there. Zoe, on the other hand, is dealing with a stalker, and she intends to do the same thing, go to her grandfather's cabin and spend time there, but it turns out that no one has been in her grandfather's cabin for many years, and it is not suitable to hold up in when they get snowed in. She knows that there's a snowstorm coming and that she needs to be somewhere safe. So Riley and Zoe end up staying together in Riley's cabin. But it's not just a romance between the 2 of them, because there is also the ongoing threat of Zoe's stalker, and there really isn't anywhere for them to go as they are snowed in together. I love winter mysteries, especially snowed in mysteries, obviously, but unfortunately I don't see many Sapphic ones, which makes me sad. I did read one other one that's called 1222 by Anne Holt, but I didn't love that one, especially because of the racial representation in that book. I thought it was questionable. So I'm definitely on the lookout for more Sapphic mystery books that have that wintry element. moment, which is why I'm so excited that this video is brought to you by Murder Most Actual by Alexis Hall. So you might recognize Alexis Hall for writing boyfriend material. He also wrote a book I reviewed recently called Rosaline Palmer Takes the Cake, and this one is exclusive to Kobo. So this is a cozy mystery that revisits the golden age of detective fiction. It stars a heroine who's more podcaster than private eye, and it's topped with a lethal dose of parody. This is perfect for fans of Clue, Knives Out, and Only Murders in the Building, and I actually just finished Only Murders in the Building and really enjoyed it. Clue is my favorite movie, so obviously I have to check this out, and Knives Out. So Liza is an up-and-coming true crime podcaster, and her corporate financier wife Hannah are headed to a luxurious hotel in the Scottish Highlands. They are hoping for a chance to rekindle their romance. Instead, they find themselves caught in an Agatha Christie-esque murder mystery with no way to get home. But who better to take on the case than someone whose entire career rests on her obsession with all things mysterious and macabre. Though some of her fellow guests might consider her an interfering new media hack, Liza knows a thing or two about crime. And despite Hannah's preference to wait this out behind a locked door, she might be the only one capable of discovering the killer. As the bodies stack up and the stakes rise, can they save their marriage and their lives? I am so excited to read this one, and if you want to check it out too, that's Murder Most Actual by Alexis Hall, and it's only available on Kobo.